Good afternoon and welcome to this new session. So I'm particularly happy today to have this amazing panel close to me. So we are discussing today about the future of VOD service. So especially today, we will analyze fast television in AVOD public service. So this is an honor for us to have this collaboration with the Media Desk Italian Creative Europe. And I'm proud to welcome on stage Enrico Bufalini, Director of Archivio Storico Luce Cinecittà, for the institutional greetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Gaia. Hi, everybody. Let me give my warm welcome to the audience and to the panelists that will be presented very soon. I'm in charge as project manager of Creative Europe Media Desk in Italy, but I'm also a manager of Cinecittà, and from my point of view, I can face a wonderful and a huge explosion of production in our studios in Italy due to the very high statal and governmental contributions, but even to a very great possibility of distribution in new VOD and TV platforms. While VOD platforms are going very well, cinema theatrical distribution is suffering the lack of people during the last pandemic lockdown, but market is facing very strongly with new productions in order to give audience back to the theaters. As a partner of a European Commission, the Media Desk has financed a special program for supporting European platform. And under this umbrella, we have organized with MIA this panel in order to present how European VOD platforms are preparing, are expanding their strengths and their qualities in order to face the big VOD platforms like Netflix or Amazon's, and especially expanding their business into advertising free platforms. This is the purpose of this panel. There is a great debate for taking the European Copyright Act into the national states, a debate about the authors, a debate about the kind of retribution of all people engaged in production, but it is going in parallel to all the activities of the European Commission. So let's jump into the panel, and please enjoy the panel, and a special thanks to our panelists. Please, Mark. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Gubbins. I'm going to be moderating this panel. Another year, another wave of digital disruption. I can't remember the last year where we didn't have a discussion about digital disruption, but now I think we're talking about disrupting the disruptors even. So it's the fun never stops, as they say. As we're going to hear, this particular wave of disruption is one that in some ways will feel more familiar. And when we talk about this kind of revolution, there's a back to the future feel to some of what we're going to be talking about here, going back to the times when you understood the business model. That's kind of a novelty for a while. There's advertising and there's audiences, and putting those together with free content is something which feels familiar, but we'll see it from this panel what that means in terms of European content reaching audiences, how far the market is prepared for this, and just how much this wave is going to perhaps make a long-term impact. So we've got a fantastic panel, I think, to help us in this discussion. Manuel Alduy from France Télévisions, and we have Christina Sala from Pluto TV.
Samsung.
Sorry. Always make sure this is this is where I need my glasses after all these years. And of course, we've been talking about this all along anyway. So Christina from Pluto, who we're going to... It must be the most familiar name in AVOD already. So you've already got one over me, which is a good start. Simone Emelius from ZDF. Yes, got 1 out of 3. I'm quite pleased with that. And finally, and this is one I've been rehearsing all day, Antonella Dominici. Was that okay? Yes, we know where you're from because I've already accidentally wrongly introduced you. So let's talk about the world that we're now moving in. So I want to start with what looks like the more conventional and how the television and broadcasting is developing. So if I could start with you, Manuel, just give us a sense, first of all, about what's driving this and how the strategy for France TV is evolving.
Well, you talked about disruption, and I feel I'm working in one of these broadcasting companies that is the most disrupted by everyone. It used to be just pay TV, then SVOD, now AVOD. So France Télévisions is the public service, as you know, like RAI in Italy. We are slowly but firmly trying to invest in our AVOD, free VOD platform, France.tv. To give you a set of figures, you have the same in Italy, in the UK, in many other countries. In France, someone my age and above watches TV 5 hours and a half a day. When you go to the below 35, it's more 2 hours. And another 3 hours are spent on video platform and SVOD. So we need to change and move away from TV and try to get people where they are. It can be on some of these platforms, Pluto or Samsung TV, or on our own platform from France TV. The issue we have is we don't want to lose the old people that we love and that are still watching us. We need to balance our budget between the linear spending. We spent a lot of money to create great series and films for our linear channels. We don't spend enough money for our non-linear offering. And thirdly, the third challenge is, even when you are a public service, so paid by your money, the state, we still need AVOD money to invest more because everywhere in Europe, governments tend to reduce the public spending, including on their own televisions, and because they have other challenges. So AVOD revenues could be like an opportunity for us to bring some money back into the system.
So it's not, from your point of view, this is kind of supplementary. It's not about replacement necessarily, but you're seeing a trend which you are kind of fitting into and with kind of long-term benefits.
Well, it's a race still, because if we don't do anything, our audience is on average 60-something-year-old. If I don't do that, if I don't do anything, if we collectively don't do anything, in 20 years they will all be dead. So I'm sorry to say that. So I really need to target the younger generation. I'm not talking about the kids because we've lost them, but at least people between 30 and 50. And that's really our main focus, is to spend more money to make sure that these people, we don't lose them. You don't change your habits of viewing, your cultural habit when you suddenly turn 60. You just get older with what you've done in your youth and in your life. So that's really a race against obsolescence, so to speak. And so it's not a race like we need to solve everything this year. But still, it's a slow disruption that we need to follow.
Okay, just make sure I've got this right. Your media habits definitely change after you die, and death is called obsolescence, I think now. What a lovely way of putting it. That's nice to know. So what you're saying really is that the audience, as you perceive it, that younger audience, the expectations of that younger audience is simply too different. That this is what they now want. It's proven over a long period of time, and actually, you've just got to go with the flow. And you see that flow very clearly in terms of free content.
Yes, but now I think we are in a situation where AVOD is finding its way as a complementary offering to SVOD and pay TV and linear broadcast. It's not something which is to be seen as against SVOD. For example, in France, we still have some debates about why you, France Télévisions, why are you putting 300 films in your AVOD platform? Why are you doing this? It's bad for theaters, it's bad for pay TV, it's bad for SVOD. Well, it's not. We have always worked together between the free environment and the pay environment on films. Otherwise, many films would never have been financed at all. And I'm sure that's what we are. That's where we are getting. It's just various models. AVOD is one, and for us, we are in the free business. We are not in the pay business. We need to have an AVOD offering with everything which is on the linear, series, documentaries, feature films, so to make sure that the people who are slowly moving away from the linear broadcast experience, they will find the same experience in the non-linear world. And for example, feature films on AVOD, for us, is one of our priorities.
Right, let's come back to some of those issues, particularly around the ecosystem and how these things all fit together, because you paint a very nice picture of where these things can all coexist. But I think there are questions there. But let's go to ZDF if we could next. So is that a similar?
No, the situation in Germany is different due to the German media law. And in Germany, the public broadcasters are very limited concerning advertisement they are allowed to get. So for our linear channel, it's only possible to get advertisement money for our main channel only for 20 minutes a day, only before 8 p.m. and not on Sun and holidays. So that's the limitations, and that also means whatever we offer non-linear has to be free of advertisement. So we also have a different strategy. What is similar to the situation in France is the fact that we are coming from a linear tradition and that our audience is becoming elder and elder. So our strategy has been over the, let's say, last 15, 20 years to adopt that situation. In the first period, it was to create a differentiated offer, not only focus on one linear main program, but to have specific program offers for specific target groups. So, for instance, with ARD, the other public broadcaster in Germany, we run a children's channel, or ZDF created a channel, ZDF Neo, that targets a young audience between 20 and 35. So that was our first step. But now we are aware that the audience shift from linear viewing, which is still very important, but they shift to autonomous viewing online. And that means that we try to shift money to younger target groups, that we try to select our program offers more on the aspect of given or built by us content communities, so people that share same viewing habits, age, social background, stuff like that, and cluster our program program offers by this, and our media player, who is for free. It's a so no advertisement on the non-linear offer. That is the portal to watch whatever we also offer in our linear several channels.
So a lot of the things that you're looking at, it's that kind of personalized service. We are looking towards the free, but targeted, much more targeted and clear in terms of the audience that can be reached.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's the expectation that you see, that younger audiences. I'm just trying to understand, you know, we assume that younger audiences all think and behave in the same way, but perhaps it's clearer in what they've rejected rather than what they necessarily are picking up. So I'm just, from your point of view, it's the same inevitability that you heard from Manuel, but perhaps you are required to do it differently for all those kind of reasons.
Right.
Okay, and of course the Germans become obsolete much more slowly, as we know from Mercedes, than Italians. So, Antonella. So Samsung, I know Christina's very keen to work for Samsung, by the way. I think I could see when I wrongly introduced her. But from just give us show us how Samsung now fits within the market. Oh, sorry. Why am I looking the wrong way? Only my joke. I know. So just far away. So Samsung. I know all about this. We've talked about this for hours. So Samsung, tell us how this now fits within the market.
So, I mean, we're actually not a disruptor because we like to work with everyone. And we're kind of a little bit traditional in the sense that we have linear viewing, so channels, and we've got VOD. And for example, in Italy, we've got 8 Pluto channels. And, you know, for example, we also have Rakuten channels. So we work with quite a lot of, you know, VOD platforms, standalone VOD platforms. They have channels on their own. And we basically are, yes, we are a platform, but our system is basically a little bit different in the sense that it's pre-installed, and with your remote control, it's, you know, with a Samsung TV, you can go from the #1 LCN numbering and you continue then, it's basically like a continuation of the LCN numbering, of the national LCN numbering, and we are basically after number 4000, so we don't want to kind of interfere with the national LCN numbering. But we're basically a continuation on the remote control, and this is why we have a lot of, you know, visibility. And yes, you know, in many other countries and also in Italy, we are working also with other broadcasters, existing broadcasters. There's also, for example, on Sky, and we have, you know, the linear feeds, but we also have the VOD content, and we actually see how the two really work together. In the sense that, you know, it's sometimes quite hard to find what you're really looking for, and maybe you're spending hours on looking on the right title. And so we're having like what we call fast channels. And yeah, we also have like, for example, dedicated series channels, like for example, Pluto. And yes, I mean, we notice that, you know, people really love, you know, the fact that you have a channel, dedicated series channel, you can just watch all the episode in one go.
It might be worth, just because it's relatively new in other parts of Europe, but fast channel is now obviously very big in the US. Just explain the difference between a fast channel and other forms of AVOD.
Sure. I mean, a fast channel, it's a channel that you can create, right? So you can be a distributor. Let's say, for example, in Italy, we've got 4 Minerva channels of films. So they are, you know, very big independent film distributors, and they have created 4 different films channels, like one Western channels, movie channel, one, you know, crime channel. They are going to create one comedy channel. So dedicated, like vertical channels, right? And it's basically you can create your own channel out of your own property. So basically, distributors are also becoming, channels, which is very revolutionary. But it's not that is really revolutionary, but rather the monetization part, right? Because until lately, the what we call the linear advertisement, right? What like normal channels, free-to-air channels were doing until now, or are doing until now. Whereas, the importance, of, a manufacturer like Samsung is that you can have ACR data and you can actually do targeted advertisement, right? So basically, this is the revolution, right? So the way that actually the advertisement is actually done and the way you can monetize.
Yeah, we'll come, I think, to how that fits within this kind of ecosystem. But actually, what's really key to you, it seems to me, is highly targeted, but relatively, it can run across lots of different kind of platforms. It's not tied in the same way as the old SVODs, where you've got one brand and everything fitting underneath it. Yours is on your television, and those fast channels allow that kind of very, very clearly targeted, which presumably is what advertisers are looking for too.
Yes, absolutely. So advertisement look like to specific target groups, and and of course, targeted ACR data is very important. So that's kind of a change, and we work, as I said, with everyone. So with Pluto, with Rakuten, and with many others.
Okay, and just quickly, where's Samsung at in terms of the development in Europe? How many countries? What's your strategy for growth?
Okay, so basically we are of course, in the big 5 in Europe, but we are also we're developing the other 16 countries in Europe. And this all started in the US because we didn't have any free-to-air broadcasters. So there, like, the change went really fast, and it's kind of, to me, it's I'm learning every day because I'm coming like kind of from the old world, from distributing like films, whereas like I'm talking to the new world, which is like the Google of its sorts, and how you're actually implementing the advertisement. And so it's very interesting to see how those worlds are coming together, and it's not always very easy because it's the complexities of one language with the complexities of the other language.
Yeah. Okay. So what I think we've heard from the first two is the kind of evolution of broadcasting. Then we're hearing, I think, different ways that this is kind of integrating. Let's finally move to Pluto. So finally, which is interchangeable in some ways with Samsung. Right. which is why I'm doing, of course, as you're about to explain. Again, I think a lot of this is about that kind of the integration, that kind of just explain how Pluto works in the media environment.
Yes, first of all, Pluto was born a few years ago when the rest of the world was moving to VOD. So it was considered as a strange approach because they were looking at the beginning for the digital linear experience. Then what happened was that the broadcaster started investing more on the VOD, and Pluto became a new way since the beginning, 8 years ago, beginning a new way in US to watch the linear in a new way. So was the, let's say, modernity, please consider this as a metaphor, was a new way to approach this way of watching, and was exactly what Christina was saying, was a vertical approach, but digital. Then when also Netflix a couple of years ago said that they were going to launch what is at the end in France a linear channel, it was considered as a new approach, but was basically what already was existing. That's why we consider Pluto in Paramount ecosystem one of the way to exploit the value of a content, because Paramount has all the value chain for a content, which starts from the production, which goes into the theaters and then goes into transactional business. And then we have now in Italy, but in several other countries, launched Paramount Plus. And Pluto TV is a new way to leverage on a content which is now not anymore a premium content because it's last released. Is a premium content in the sense of the quality of the content, but is more a library. And so started with own properties, but we are collecting contents also from other producers. So we offer several channels, not only from the Paramount enormous library, but also from other libraries. We believe that this ecosystem can follow the customer in any time he wants to enjoy a content. It is the only way currently you can appreciate a content from 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even 2 years ago, in a linear way. So this is to be closer to customer, because few customers are just joining the new digital approach to content. So in this ecosystem, there is a value where we want to leverage on, and it's the linear, the non-linear, but also the live. In some part of the world, we have also live events, and we know, and it's a fact, that in some of the countries, the live events via streaming is the way to make a customer closer to the streaming world. So this is a way to monetize, but also is, let me also say like this, is a way to, more generous way to increase the number of customers that can approach to a content. It's a free way, but for us is the way to make a customer starting considering the streaming just because it's for free. So they enter in contact with the content and they may increase their intention to subscribe to an SVOD service. From our point of view, we have more than 70 million users across the world, more than 1,000 channels, and all those channels are distributed in two different ways. One is what we call syndication of a channel, which is the same across all platforms, and then we have personalized channel. So we define together with the partners which kind of content they want to deliver to the final consumer. And I think in the next future, what I really would like to have from a platform point of view, but it's a matter probably just of time, is to have my own channel, free channel or paid channel, but based not as you watch this, you may appreciate this. This is Antonella channel, which is made by all the content that I've been watching in the last 7 days, a month. So it's just a personal lineup. And the digital platform can allow this. So I believe that in the next future, we should be able to be even more and more personalized, being able to support the advertisers in finding the right customers, but also to be able for the distributors to find the proper content for that person.
Okay, so I'm getting at the revolution side of it a bit here. This is where the evolution becomes revolution. It's the idea that many more people can create their own channels rather than being over-reliant on big players and particularly the streaming giants. I get that vision, and the vision also is of a probably from all of you in some ways, highly personalized services where effectively it is where we recognize things as more like free television, commercial television. The difference is that the programmer is no longer a third party or someone telling you what's good for you. The programmer is you. That's the kind of revolutionary idea behind it. It sounds like we're still at quite an early stage of development in all these things. And certainly the pandemic, I'm guessing, slowed down after a great deal of expectation, I think, of a massive push a couple of years ago. Christina, are we now, is the revolution now beginning to pick up speed as, particularly in the post-pandemic, as advertisers are looking for new ways to reach that personalized audience?
Yeah, I think that at least, at Samsung TV Plus, you can also personalize your channels already. So you can do and pick and choose, how your network is looking like. So you can actually say, yes, I would like to add this channel or remove that channel. And so you can also already personalize that, like personalize your viewing.
So for you, we've already... Technically, there's no issue. In terms of demand, you're fairly confident that we're already there. It's just really that the push goes from here in perhaps recognition, perhaps...
Yeah, in my point of view, the real revolution will be, the shift, more and more in digital advertisement, right? So then, because we have still... like the linear advertisement is still, very, very strong, right? It's the strongest one, at least in Italy. And the shift, the complete tsunami will come, when digital advertisement will be stronger than the actual, advertisement we've got now, so the linear advertisement.
Yeah,
traditional one.
Tsunami is an interesting way of putting it. Is the advertising industry seeing this as a tsunami at this stage? Are they ready in Europe for the kind of revolution you're talking about?
I think more and more, advertisement look at digital advertisement, and in some countries it's still small, right? But it's something that is inevitable, right? Like a couple of years ago, you wouldn't have thought, that Google would have been so powerful, right? When you're watching a YouTube, video, then suddenly, something specific on the ads is coming up. And now we're used to it,
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about inevitability here. Maybe I could move on to, because there's questions to be asked there about what's inevitable, and the assumptions about what people want and don't want, I think, is there. But let me move to what a lot of people in the room want to think is, if you are a producer of content, and you're a rights owner of content, what does this mean for me? Maybe we could start with you, Simone. Because I think there's right now. I hear there's a boom going on. We've had a production boom largely driven by SVODs, those particularly the giant SVODs like Netflix. Now I'm hearing that this world that's coming up is going to be changing things again. From a production point of view, what does change mean to you?
I'm not so sure that it's really a change for us with respect to the productions. Maybe the market becomes more competitive, and yes, that has an influence on production. But the competition lines are still between free offers and pay offers. The advertisement offers compete with the established, advertised, financed linear channels. So that these are the competition lines. With respect to the productions, from our point of view, we want to offer the best quality of programs to our audience, and we try to find out how we can cluster groups of audience so that we can offer them programs they are interested in, and also to deliver these programs to our audience as comfortable as possible. That's our main goal. So as much interesting programs with a high quality for our audience. And the competition is to get access to these production, and that really then again deals with the forms of producing, financing those productions, and I'm in the field of international co-production, so that's my expertise, how to find partners to do the programs I'm convinced that they are made for my audiences, and yeah.
So the most, I think what you're saying is the most effective way potentially for taking great content and finding audiences is actually to understand better and target those audiences more clearly.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Manuel, you said the word competition's an interesting one. It's come up quite a couple of times now. You said at the start you don't think this necessarily competes with SVOD and the... but it seems to me, when I'm hearing all of this inevitability, there is still a limited amount of money. There's a limited amount of audience time. It feels like surely this is going to disrupt. And from a producer's point of view, right now working with Netflix, can you not see how this could end up perhaps bringing an end to that production boom that everyone's talking about right now?
Well, no, I'm not sure. I think what we are discussing here are two sides of the same industry. The bigger the AVOD business will be, the better for all the distributors, because in the first place, what you said is this AVOD business is going to be a source of revenue for the library windows of our content. You know, if we put back everything in order, when we produce, we don't produce for a personalized audience, because the money for the production, which is required for the production of a series or a film, is much too important. We produce for big broadcasters. These big broadcasters put a lot of money on one show or several shows, and then they want to have a first-run exploitation of that program on their main service. Right now, it is still linear with the on-demand requirement that we all know. Yes, but that's the first window. What's good with the AVOD platform is that it creates a new life for a lot of content that has just disappeared from most of our linear channels, because we are all in this competition for the new stuff. You have too many originals coming on SVOD and on TV every week, and there is not this long tail of exploitation that has really been reduced by this boom of production. Thanks to the AVOD and the development of AVOD, I hope that we will have a second life or a third life or a fourth life of many of our film and series. And if we manage to have value on this AVOD model, significant value on this AVOD model, it will be a value for the distributors. The distributors will bet on that value, so they will put money back into the production in the hope that long-term wise, they will have some exploitation. So it's more about the long tail of how a content is exploited rather than a mess on an all-instant competition of everyone against everyone. I think there is an order into...
Right, so let me just check that I've got this right. There's two sides to this. There is still the one model, which is that kind of SVOD Netflix model, which is based on winning subscribers by first-run original content.
Not just Netflix. I mean, ZDF, France Television, all the traditional broadcasters are still investing. You know, in France, Netflix is going to put 40 million in 40 million in French films. That's great. We spent 80 million. So I think we spent slightly more than them, but we are not competing. I'm doing films with Netflix.
But what I'm trying to get to is that's one model which is it's enclosed. That's their model. Your model has always been to produce content. That's part of the job of broadcasters, is that you have money to create content. What you seem to be suggesting in your model is that there is the potential now for getting the value of the rights over new windows and more targeted windows, which seems like a more effective way. They seem like two different models to me.
Yeah, it's like further exploitation. I mean, as simple as that. It's another window to exploit the rights, a long life for a specific product. I mean, it's as simple as that.
But you have to keep in mind how much you are able to create a brand for your program that is linked to your own company brand, and there it becomes tricky for the public broadcasters, because we have an interest that the money we invest in programs is linked to our company's brand, and for this reason the distribution of our programs is the best as long as we can keep it linked to our main brand, and so we offer it in different channels, in different linear channels. We offer it on our Mediathek with a free access to everything else, and it's always a decision: do I want to give away programs in my domestic market? I'm not talking about other countries, but in my domestic market, or do I want to keep the viewer aware that this program is linked to the public broadcaster?
Yeah, and I guess from Pluto's point of view, you're offering more of these channels, but actually becomes more critical that the branding of those channels actually delivers that value to the people who are producing it.
Yes, first of all, since we are talking about European productions, there is an Ampere report that says that in 2021 more than 17 billion were for original European productions, and out of this big amount of money, 16% was coming from the global streamers. This means that all the others were coming from other producers. So to go back to Pluto, this is exactly the same approach, meaning that this is a platform, and this is also a service for others, so it's platform as a service, and is the way that we offer to our global company to distribute, exactly as we were saying, the long tail of several contents, but also to, if you have some previous series of a new series, is a nice way to get the customer in touch with some of the new hiring. But then it's also a way to prioritize channels according to customers' desires, customer needs. So there is a huge study of customer habits in what they look for, which kind of content can be delivered to them, which kind of content are the best for a platform. And also we leverage on across our global company, across it, on more than 400 partners. This means that we have other producers that are giving us their contents to be delivered to the final consumer, because not everybody has the strength to arrive to the final customer. So this is a nice way to create a value even on the producers that are less known, but that produce very high quality contents. So I believe this is it's an ecosystem. For us, is an ecosystem native, but I think is an ecosystem also for the streaming and even the broadcaster approach, because it's a way to switch from TV to screen, probably.
Yeah, and I can see how, from a rights perspective, one of the big issues with people working with the global streamers has been a feeling that you're handing over your rights. You become a line producer on your own film, as the cliche goes. But that sense here is that there are opportunities for now reaching out beyond your traditional audience, but it seems that comes with some responsibilities. That comes with perhaps fresh thinking around how you target in production, on the production side. Do you know your audience? What are the distribution channels that are going to be most effective for your work to get onto those areas? And of course, curation as well belongs to someone else. It seems still like it's a complicated world that we're moving into, and the rules aren't really set yet. Christina, maybe you.
I mean, the rules aren't set, but I mean, as I said at the beginning, we are working with everyone. So, for example, if ZDF is coming and wants to do like a ZDF channel on Sturm der Liebe and writing like ZDF on the TV Plus ecosystem, that wouldn't be a problem for us, for example. you know, because we are working with everyone. So for example, the Pluto channels on TV Plus is like Pluto TV series. So it's really clearly defined, you know, whose program is what. So we're not only exploiting like single titles, but we're also like working with, you know, the vision of like broadcasters and the names. So we are not really like disruptive in that sense.
Yeah, and one could imagine a world in which distributors could actually make more of themselves as a brand. You are offering an opportunity for you to build that brand with the audience, which perhaps is something which is also inevitable and necessary. But it's again, it still feels like one in which the biggest names have still got some pretty huge advantages in this world, you know, no matter what. And Pluto may now become a big name in itself because it's with Paramount and so on behind it. But it's interesting. I just wanted to ask you because I think particularly, Manuel, from your point of view, what we're talking about here is more and more giving audiences what they want or what they think they want. And the tradition of public service broadcasting was always, to me, you're trying to introduce people to things they don't know that they want. That's what makes European culture great. And I still, in this world, still struggle to see how that happens. It feels more and more, I'm going to get given what I want. But where's that bigger sense of culture?
Oh no, I think we're at least where I work, we are trying to stay as before. So our job is not to give you what you think you want. Otherwise, at the end, you will always have the same thing, and it's going to be boring, and then you will leave us. So the idea is to make decisions based, of course, on a sense of the audience. When we analyze a project or even a library offer, we've put a collection of Japanese animation films on France Télé. I can assure you it was the first time on France Télé. For us, it was library films. It was a surprise. It was the aim was to surprise the audience and say, well, you should taste that. You don't know Japanese, you should taste that. So I guess maybe in the future we will have two different set of players. We can see that with some of the streamers. They come into the production business with a lot of data and experience on the data analysis. I think that's their way of doing. I don't want to be controversial, but it's not our way. Our way is to discuss with authors, with producers, to try to be convinced by their project, and then to try to convince internally to do the film or the series, and then to create and to gather all the means to create an event and a surprise for the audience. Everything that worked on our platform or our channels was last year was a surprise.
And does that mean in the long run, because I still listen to that and think this is a case for making more original content, that original content still is essential somewhere, but at the moment AVOD's not about original content. I think the certainly this early stage has been not about that.
Maybe it's a misunderstanding by my side, but what I can see as a benefit for those advertisement channels is that, in fact, due to the technical possibilities, you are able to create a very niche offer combined with an advertisement that fits perfectly to that content, and I think that's what you try to what you try to do. And I think that's an interesting offer for a specific audience. So if I'm a sailor and I'm interested in sailing content, and then I get advertisement linked to that sailing content, I'm fine, and I will return to that channel whenever I'm interested in. But that's totally different to a mission of a public broadcaster. I don't want to bore you with states treaties, but our aim is to entertain. Our aim is to inform. Our aim is to reflect on our cultural heritage and our cultural future. So we really have, in a way, a mission. And what we try to do is to create the best offer possible, to be an island of trust for our audience with regard to information as well as entertainment. And having that in mind, we really deal with the topics of productions. We are interested in what are we talking about? For instance, we did together as the European Alliance 80 days around the world. Why did we do it? Because it was a great IP. Everybody knows 80 days around the world. But we also did it because we had the feeling that joining forces, we have the option to create great cinematographic quality combined with great actors, and to tell a period story in a modern way. And that's what we did. We the way we told 80 Days was a becoming of age story with regard to all three characters, and so we told it very modern in a different way than the audience was used to. And the aim was to create a family entertainment for the Christmas, and it was a great success. We had more than 10 million viewers on our iPlayer during the Christmas days, and additional, I don't know how many, on linear TV, and similar success in Italy and France as well. And that's our mission.
So what we're trusting in here is that this ecosystem that we're looking at here will always have someone who has an interest in backing original content, because something has to kick off this thing. And there is the mission of public service broadcasting. There is the necessity for those big streamers to actually get new clients. But what you're suggesting here, it seems to me, is somewhere along the way there is the revolution is a new mechanism potentially for connecting that content as it goes through its life with new audiences, and that advertisers are going to want to go on that journey with you, because those audiences are attractive by what they choose, and these days we are much more effective. Is that a fair summary of
Yes, but it's not only to get new audiences, because sometimes, I mean, every person, I think, has more than one OTT service, the streaming service, but there is an interesting overlap, because either a person or a family is using both the subscription video on demand or fast channels. So it's not necessarily new audiences. It could be a new way to approach old previous audiences or new audiences. But anyways, a new approach, because you are offering contents in a digital way, and this is the way to get a customer closer to what the other services are offering now.
Okay, and obviously, I guess Samsung is going to be on my TV. This, whatever happens, with a Samsung TV, it's that same thing. It's just another thing for that audience to look at and maybe have more choice in what they want in their own kind of curation for their own life.
I mean, as we see, we're, we for Samsung TV Plus, the audiences are not, for example, only like specific ones, but we have like quite a varied audience, like from younger people to kind of older people. So we're kind of reaching the arc. It's a quite a broad one. So I agree with what you just said. Absolutely.
Yes.
But to pour some water into the wine, there is no new audience. They are the newborns, but there is no new audience. So if we talk about new offers, we talk about further fragmentation. And what we are talking about is also the fight for the eyeballs. And we know by research that normal people have about, let's say, 10 preferred program offers they regularly consume. And that might be linear channel, that might be preferred non-linear offers, that might be new offers. So the combination changes, but the number of preferred addresses, that won't probably change, because you can't consume 24 hours.
No, I mean, that's brilliantly put, Simone, because that underlying all of this, that deserves a round of applause, actually, in my opinion. I mean, the reality is, when I hear all this stuff about inevitability and the changes we're talking about, it's obvious that underlying that there must be high levels of fragmentation. And if there was a European policy that we could put an extra hour on the day, then you know, that would make a great deal of sense. But at the end of it, you know, I'm still hearing more competition for the same most scarce resource, which is audience time. And that audience time hasn't gone up. And these all are new ways of getting into those audience time. And you'll be competing in more effective ways, I presume, the way you see it. You're going to be more effective in making sure people get what they think they want. But I still don't understand how that doesn't fragment all the other things, including public service broadcasting and including the big streamers. So I guess this revolution is going to work its way through the system, and we're going to work all of this out. But at the end of it, it seems to me that producers must be looking at this world, and it's what you seem to be offering them is, first of all, more opportunity to. I see their rights in this. I mean, all of you have their rights enshrined in what they're doing. In fact, Pluto and Samsung, I think, are very much looking at how they can build brands and find ways to reach audiences as rights holders with more autonomy and thinking. It sounds like a lot of work, but it's kind of an interesting thought in those things. And from a public service broadcasting point of view, that stuff still exists, but it's a revolution which I think we're going to need to keep watching. And we haven't really had the time, because we started late, to talk about the European dimension to this, because politics, windows, and all of these, the regulations in our areas, the broadcasting regulations, it seems to me all of those are going to have an impact potentially on how that world develops. Which probably leads us on quite nicely to Giuseppe Massaro from the European Media Desk, Creative Europe, who's actually going to come up and give you an idea. But can we first of all have a round of applause to the panelists? And what we're going to have is Giuseppe is going to come to the lectern. He's going the long way round, which is good. You're going to need to run now for this last 10 yards to get through that. I should have said 10 meters.
Good afternoon. Thanks to all of you. Special thanks to the speakers and also to the MIA market to organize, to host and to cooperate in the organization of this event. I would like to present very briefly the tool offered by Creative Europe Media to support the VOD platform. As in the past was a special is a work in progress. I can say because following the different trends and changes of these ecosystems was changed several times. This kind of support in order to be useful, of course, for the VOD platform. I would like I have just some slides, very briefly. In the structure of the program, the audience cluster is European VOD network support is into the cluster audience. Okay, thank you very much. No, it's enough. Okay, no. So it's in the cluster 3, the cluster that is more addressed, is closer to the public. As you can see, there is also the support to European network of European cinema, of festivals, film on the move, and audience development. Regarding some key aspects of this call, it's interesting to say that was chosen by the Commission to support the big platform. So it means, for example, that as you can see, minimum number of title in the catalog has to be 1,000. And on the other side, also it's of course in order to allow to reinforce the circulation, transnational distribution of the European films. Another criteria of selection is that in order to be eligible, we need that this platform has to include works of at least 5 countries participating in the media strand. And maybe it's interesting to underline that compared with the other calls that usually has a more significant percentage of European works, for the VOD platform was requested at least 30% of European audiovisual work in terms of majority of production. The reason why is because in order to be more attractive, the VOD platform, it's important to also to include the blockbuster, the big films that are not are usually or necessarily European. So this is another aspect. Regarding the who can apply, it's possible to can apply both, or a consortium of at least 3 applicants. When one of them will be the coordinator, of course, or only a unique platform of VOD platform with offering its services in at least two different eligible countries. Of course, in this case, it's necessary that these 2 platforms are completely operational, fully operational in both countries. Regarding the definitions, just to literally define which the Commission intend for a video on demand platform. As you can see, video platform is on demand audiovisual media service provided by a media service provider for the viewing of a program, at the moment chosen by the user, and its individual request on the basis of a catalog of programs selected by the media service provider with a clear brand identity, and on which the applicants have the editorial responsibility. Brand identity is another key aspects of the goal of this tool, of this support. Services offered by broadcaster or internet services providers are eligible, so also services offered by the broadcasters. This call is a multi-annual call, is a 2-year call. So the duration of the activity is between 24 and 36 months, and considering the starting date of period of eligibility, that is the grant of signature with the Commission. Financial modalities is the mechanism of support is budget-based, so more than 7% for overheads cost. And regarding the co-financing rate is 60% without cap. So, of course, the cap depends on the capacity, the availability of budget, of total budget. The installment will be split in 3 parts. It will be the 50% of the signature, 30 as interim report, and the final report, the balance. The goals, as I said before, of this goal fundamentally is essentially to create a cross-border cooperation, collaborative action to improve the competitiveness of the VOD European platform and to create the possibility for the audiovisual work to circulate in transnational distribution. And of course, as all in this program for all the calls as other priority that is general for all calls. As I said, the call consider also the sustainability, the environmentally sustainability, the gender balance, inclusion, diversity, representativeness. And regarding the joint action, the eligible active are for the promotion, for the marketing action, and more accessibility and discoverability of the European content, the development of innovative digital promotion, and of course also of innovative business model, and fostering the exchange of knowledge and best practices, and sharing the cost, if it's possible, to maximize the investment of each VOD platform to reinforce the activities. Which are the expected impact? The expected impact are to reinforce the collaboration, as I said, among European VOD platform in this kind of joint collaborative activities to increase the online audience of European audiovisual content, reinforce the attractiveness of this platform, and to create for cross-border audience and improve the digital circulation and consumption of European content. Last, to develop the new business model, and last slide is very briefly. Unfortunately, this call is closed, so it was the reason why I don't talk about about this one in deep. And the next one will be launched probably at the end of next year, and so the deadline will be for the year before. The budget 2022 was 11 million euros, and I don't know, maybe Martin, Mr. Martin can anticipate something about the new trends of the Commission. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can we bring up Martin Dawson, who will finish us off from the European Audiovisual Observatory? We'll finish off, yes, with his summary of the session.
So good afternoon, buonasera. I'll be brief. It's been a very fascinating panel, and confirms that yes, there is a production boom, but distribution remains strategic, and the business models keep changing. And so this is another facet, another player in the market, and it will be very interesting to see how it develops. We on the side of Creative Europe, you've all heard, I think, of Creative Europe. We have supported cinema, in particular TV and audiovisual, for over 30 years, and we are always keen to innovate and to support innovation. As we heard, we support also video on demand platforms, European video on demand platforms, and we also will be publishing at the end of the year or the beginning of next year our first report on trends in the industry, the Outlook Media Outlook report. So this will be something we will also have to take into account. So it's going to be even more challenging and interesting. But I'd just like to say that some of the key issues, the focus that we have had over these 30 years in Creative Europe will continue. Whilst things change, certain things stay the same. So we will continue to promote the visibility and the cross-border circulation of European content. That is what we do, to bring European content to audiences across Europe and across borders. We want to support diverse content, creative, diverse content, and we support independent production, as we feel that's a guarantee of diversity. So with those principles in mind, we will be very happy to support and to follow these recent developments. And thank you very much again to Mia for organising such a fascinating debate, and to all the panelists. Thank you.
Okay, I guess it's time to go and watch a movie. Thanks to the panel. Thanks to you all.